Well, hello there, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So let me start by introducing Sara. Sara Rector has been helping individuals and couples cope with infertility since 1980, and she has been in her private practice since 1994. She's the director of the Circle of Life Center, which is a full-service infertility support center providing information, counseling, and individual couples and groups. She leads support groups for Resolve. She's also created a reproductive wellness MP3s and CDs series, which includes information on positive intention conception, relationship issues and infertility, the male factor perspectives and experiences of infertility, and healing pregnancy, loss, and transition to donation. I've had the privilege of working with Sara Rector for almost 15 years now. We've had patients, and she just really attracts beautiful women that are so supportive and nurturing in her groups. And she really creates an amazing safe space of support. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Sara Rector. Hi, Sara.
Hi, Denise. Hi, thank you for the beautiful introduction, and it's my pleasure to work with you. I always really enjoy your healing energy and get a lot of positive feedback from my clients, our patients that we share together. And I always love laughing with you. You know, life's too important to be taken seriously. And boy, I'll tell you, this going through infertility can be a dark cloud. So yeah, so I'll get more into that, the dark cloud and the bright sunny day. But I want to offer to everyone that's on this teleseminar a free gift. And what I'd like to offer is that you get to pick out one of my reproductive wellness MP3s. So Denise had mentioned the choices: positive intention conception, relationship issues, he said, she said, which is me and my husband interviewing each other. So that one's kind of funny. You get to hear about his date with a cup. Healing pregnancy loss, and then the transitioned in ovum donation. So I will email you the link, and then you can respond with your choice. And so you can email me right now at Sara Rector, SARARECTOR, MFT, M as in marriage, F as in family, T as in therapist, at gmail.com to request your free link to the MP3. And also what I'm going to include is 10 strategies to cope with infertility as a couple. And any questions that you may have, go ahead and email, and I'm happy to answer them.
Wow, that's generous. And we're putting that in the chat room as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Denise. And thank you for setting this up and creating this great space, this great healing space where we can share information to support people going through infertility. So what I want to share, I have a lot of professional experience with family building and supporting individuals and couples that are going through infertility. And I just want to share with you that I also have a lot of personal experience. And that really is the most soulful part of what informs the work that I do, because there's a special kind of knowing that happens when you've gone through this experience, and it is an experience that is defined as traumatic. Traumatic is a negative experience that most people in the general population do not experience. And the last time I checked, it was 1 in 8 individuals deal with and go through infertility. So it is a challenging time that I personally experienced. And so that's how I got here. So I just want to give you a little bit of information about that so you can get to know me. And then I'm going to talk about, as Denise said, the emotional ups and downs of infertility, which really is what they've called the emotional roller coaster of infertility. And it's tied to our menstrual cycles and also our treatment cycles. And this affects us individually, it affects our relationships, and it affects us in the bedroom with our partner. So that's going to be the second part of my talk. And then the last part will be solutions. So we're going to talk about the issues and the problems, but really most importantly, we're going to focus on what you can do. and what the solutions are, the coping methods, the problem solving, and of course, my favorite, keeping it exciting and spicy in the bedroom. So, okay, so let's kind of rewind. And so once upon a time, I was a 30 something, and I actually, before I took a detour, 10-year detour into the corporate world. And so I graduated, I got my degree in psychology, and I took a detour into the corporate world, and I worked in sales. I sold Yellow Page advertising, actually, and I was then able to become a manager of salespeople that sold Yellow Page advertising. For back then, it was called GTE. Now the company's name is Verizon. And so back then, I was a corporate woman, and I was making money, and I decided that I'd get married when, I'd get married in my 30s. And then when things kind of settled down, then I would have a baby. So that was my plan. I actually ended up meeting the love of my life and getting married in my mid-20s. I didn't want him to get away. And we just had this fabulous life. I just made a ton of money. I was very successful in sales. It really worked out for me. And we traveled all over. The company sent me on sales trips that I won to Europe. We went a couple of times, and we just did whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And it was really an exciting and fun lifestyle. So then all of a sudden, my younger brother, who also was married, he and his wife had a baby. And I got bitten by the baby bug. I fell in love with my nephew. I just couldn't get enough of him. And I live in Thousand Oaks. That's where my office is and my practice. And I would travel all the way to Orange County as many weekends as my husband would agree to. I would just wanted to be there all the time because he just fascinated me, and he just was a little miracle. So then I decided that I wanted to have a baby. And I actually was in my late 20s. So then my husband and I went about the quest to have a baby. And one of the things that I had learned in sales was about goal setting goals and writing your goals down every year and checking in and seeing where you're at with your goals. And I learned about positive intention and positive thinking and the power of positive intention. And that formula had really worked well for me in sales. And really, I attribute a lot of my success to that goal setting and then positive thinking. So I went about it the same way that I went about my sales goals. I set my goals for the year, and on that list was have a baby and, of course, lose 10 pounds. Well, all of you that have gone through this journey know that losing 10 pounds and wanting to have a baby, those two do not mix at all for many, many reasons. The treatments cause us to gain weight, the hormones. I don't know about you, but I'm a stress eater. I love to eat. So I eat, happy, sad, stressed. And so that's my story. So for 7 years, I put on my goals at the beginning of the year, have a baby and lose 10 pounds. I think it actually went up to 20 pounds towards the end. And for 7 years, I did not achieve my goal. And each year it became sadder and more disheartening for me and frustrating. So eventually we did decide to go see a reproductive endocrinologist. I think that's really, really important to go to a specialist if you have been trying to conceive for a year or if you're over 35, because they really know what they're doing. They know all the latest and the greatest techniques and tests. And I'm sure that Dr. Narita is going to speak more to that. So please don't waste your time with an OBGYN because they're very limited. There are some things that they can do, but there's a lot of things that they're not aware of. And that the diagnostics is just so important. So we finally did go to a reproductive endocrinologist, and we also went to an acupuncturist, which I highly recommend. It was so helpful and relaxing, and it's just those magic needles are amazing. So that was part of our treatment plan, and we went through an in vitro cycle. And what I did is I created a treatment plan to accompany the IVF cycle, because my experience was, I just felt like something so sacred to me as creating a child had become very medical and profane. And I really was struggling with that. So what I did is I used all of my positive intention techniques that I learned in sales, goal setting, and then I combined those with what I had learned in becoming a therapist. Oh, and I'm remembering I left out a piece. And that was that I was in sales, and part of that 7-year cycle, I realized that I really was having difficulty because I was out of town quite a bit. Sometimes I was out of town for 6-month stints. So I realized that my lifestyle was not conducive to having a baby. So this is really something important to think about too, because when I was in Las Vegas for 6 months, that was during my fertile time 6 times. And I wasn't always, I went home on the weekends, or my husband would come up on the weekends, but that wasn't always the best timing. And back then, sperm doesn't really fax that well, or, I still don't think you can fax it, but that lifestyle wasn't conducive to getting pregnant. So what I ended up doing is I ended up leaving the sales career and working on my first love of becoming a therapist. And so I did do that. And so that was really helpful because I learned a lot of techniques to support me during this trying time, coping techniques and strategies, relaxation techniques. So forward to going through an IVF cycle, what I did is I utilized everything that I had learned through my education, through my personal experience, through my struggles, and I created the positive intention conception treatment plan. It's a psychological treatment plan that supports you when you're going through these treatment cycles. And I created it because I really needed that kind of support to accompany the medical treatments that I was receiving, and to create that positive intention. So I went through my IVF cycle, and I used these techniques that were supportive, and created the positive intention. And I actually got pregnant the first time.